December 8, 1972, New York City, the Dakota Building. John Lennon was awake when they came. Not unusual for a man who'd been followed for months. Watched, documented, his every move cataloged by men in dark suits who pretended to read newspapers on street corners. But this knock was different. 3 precise raps. Not aggressive, not timid, professional. Yoko stirred beside him. "John? Stay here," he whispered. He walked through the darkness of their apartment, barefoot on cold hardwood. The Dakota's walls held secrets from 100 years. Tonight, they would hold one more. Through the peephole, he saw them. 2 men, federal badges already displayed. This wasn't a raid. Raids didn't announce themselves at midnight with polite knocking. John opened the door. "Mr. Lennon," the taller one said. Dark hair, Eastern European features, eyes that had seen things. "We need to talk. It's about your deportation case." At midnight? John's Liverpool accent cut through the hallway's silence. "This conversation never happens in daylight, sir." The shorter agent, clean-cut all-American, added, "We're not here to arrest you. We're here to offer you something." John stood in the doorway of his $1 million apartment, former Beatle, peace activist, enemy of the Nixon administration, and for the first time in months, he felt genuine fear. "5 minutes, John said, "and my lawyer knows you're here." A lie, but a necessary one. The taller agent smiled. "We're counting on you not telling your lawyer, Mr. Lennon." That's the whole point. They entered, the door closed, and the secret that would haunt John Lennon for the rest of his life began in that moment. What the FBI offered him that night would change everything. Not just his deportation case, not just his music, but the very core of who John Lennon believed himself to be. The activist, the rebel, the truth-teller, all of it, about to be tested. The 2 agents sat on John's expensive couch like they owned it. The taller one, he introduced himself only as Agent Kovac, opened a manila folder. Thick. Too thick. "You've been busy, Mr. Lennon," Kovac said, spreading photographs across the coffee table. John at anti-war rallies. John meeting with Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman. John at Black Panther benefits. Receipts, flight records, phone logs. "Christ," John muttered. "You've been thorough." "We're always thorough, sir," the clean-cut agent said. His name was Morrison. Ironic, given Jim Morrison had died just a year earlier. Another musician, another file. "The Nixon administration wants you gone," Kovac continued. "Your visa case, it's political theater. The drug conviction from '68, that's just the excuse. They want you silenced before the '72 election." John lit a cigarette. His hands shook slightly. "Tell me something I don't know." Morrison leaned forward. "What if we told you we could make it all disappear?" Silence. Outside, New York hummed its midnight symphony. Sirens, car horns, the city that never sleeps. "The deportation case?" John asked carefully. "Gone?" "Permanently," Kovac confirmed. "Green card, citizenship path, everything you've been fighting for. We can deliver it. In exchange for what?" Morrison smiled, not warmly. "Information." John laughed, bitter. "You want me to inform on my friends? Betray the movement? Become a bloody snitch?" "Not exactly," Kovac said. "We want you to keep doing exactly what you're doing. The concerts, the activism, the radical connections. But you report to us?" Morrison finished. "Names, plans, what the hardcore elements are planning. Not the peaceful protesters, the ones who want violence, the ones who want bombs." John stood, paced. His mind raced. "There's something else," Kovac added. "Something you need to know about why we're really here." He pulled out another photograph. This one made John's blood run cold. A man, dead, face down in an alley. Chicago. "Recognize him?" Morrison asked. John did. Marcus Webb, a young activist he'd met at a rally in August. Passionate, angry, brilliant. He was found 3 days ago, Kovac said quietly. Overdose, according to the official report. Heroin. But here's the thing, Mr. Lennon. Marcus Webb never touched drugs, not once. We know because we were watching him too. Jesus Christ, John whispered. There's a war happening, Morrison said. Not just the one in Vietnam. A war here, between factions you don't fully understand. Some people in the movement, they're not what they seem. Foreign agents, provocateurs, people who want chaos, not peace. Kovac closed the folder. We need someone on the inside who can tell us who's real and who's dangerous. Someone the radicals trust. I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any of the exclusive content that's coming up. And while you're there, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. John didn't sleep that night. The agents left at 2 a.m. with a promise. He had 1 week to decide. 1 week to choose between deportation and compromise, between principles and survival. Yoko found him at dawn, staring out the window at Central Park. What did they want? She asked, wrapping her arms around him from behind. Everything, John said. They want everything. He told her. Not all of it, but enough. Yoko was quiet for a long time. Then, what does your heart tell you? My heart says run. Go back to England, to Liverpool. Forget America and its bloody wars and its paranoid government. But I'm tired of running, Yoko. I've been running my whole life, from poverty, from the Beatles, from who everyone expects me to be. She turned him to face her. So what will you do? John kissed her forehead. I don't know yet. The next 3 days were torture. John went through the motions, studio sessions, interviews, dinners with friends, but his mind was elsewhere. On day 4, something happened that changed everything. John was at a small gathering in Greenwich Village. Political activists, musicians, poets. The usual crowd. A new face appeared. Young, maybe 23. Long hair, wire-rimmed glasses. Called himself David Chen. I'm a huge fan, Mr. Lennon, Chen said, shaking John's hand. Your work with the peace movement, revolutionary. They talked for an hour. Chen was smart, well-read, passionate about ending the war, but something felt off. The way Chen asked questions, too specific, too probing. What organizations was John working with? Who were the main organizers? What were the plans for the next big demonstration? John's paranoia spiked. Was this one of them? An FBI plant? Or something worse? He excused himself. Found a payphone on the corner of Bleecker and McDougal. He still had Morrison's number, written on a card. For emergencies only. This felt like an emergency. Morrison answered on the second ring. Yes? That offer, John said. I need to know something first. Are you watching me right now, tonight? A pause. Why do you ask? Just answer the bloody question. We have people in the city. Yes. There's someone here. David Chen, early 20s, Asian, asking a lot of questions. Too many questions. Is he one of yours? Another pause. Longer this time. Get out of there, Morrison said, his voice suddenly urgent. Right now. Don't go back inside. Walk to the corner of West 4th and 7th. We'll pick you up. What? Why? David Chen doesn't exist, Mr. Lennon. At least not the one you're talking to. We'll explain in the car. Move. Now. John's heart hammered. He looked back at the brownstone where the party continued. Through the window he could see Chen, talking, laughing, blending in. John walked, fast, not running. That would draw attention. At West 4th, a black sedan pulled up. Morrison was driving, alone this time. John got in. Who is he? John demanded. Morrison pulled into traffic. Someone very dangerous. And now he knows you're paying attention. Morrison drove through Manhattan like a man running from ghosts. Chen works for a group we've been tracking for 18 months, Morrison explained. Not FBI, not CIA. Private contractors, mercenaries. They're funded by people who want the anti-war movement to turn violent. Why? John asked, gripping the door handle as Morrison ran a red light. Think about it. Right now, you have millions of Americans peacefully protesting the war, marching, singing, using democratic means. It's working. Public opinion is shifting. Morrison turned onto FDR Drive, heading uptown. But if the movement turns violent, if bombs start going off, if protesters start killing people, then Nixon gets his excuse. Martial law, crackdowns, the end of dissent. John felt sick. Agent provocateurs. Exactly. Chen and people like him infiltrate movements. They radicalize. They escalate. They turn peaceful protests into riots. And when the dust settles, the government looks like heroes for restoring order. And Marcus Webb? John asked. The dead activist you showed me? Morrison's jaw tightened. Marcus figured it out. He identified 3 infiltrators in Chicago. He was going to expose them, so they killed him and made it look like an overdose. They pulled over near Gracie Mansion. Morrison killed the engine. This is bigger than your deportation case, John. This is about the soul of the movement. If people like Chen succeed, they'll destroy everything you and others have built. The FBI? We're not the good guys in this story. But we're trying to stop something worse. John stared at the East River. Dark water. Moving fast. If I do this, John said slowly, if I help you, I'll be betraying people who trust me. Some of those people are already betrayed, Morrison said. They just don't know it yet. You'd be saving them. And if word gets out, if people find out I was working with the FBI, Morrison looked at him directly. Then your legacy will be destroyed. You'll be called a traitor, a sellout. Everything you've worked for will be questioned. That's the risk. John laughed. Hollow. Priced. Some choice. It's the only choice that matters, Morrison said. You can walk away, go back to England, live your life, make music, be happy. No one would blame you. But Marcus Webb stays dead, and others will die too. Yes. John closed his eyes. Thought of Sean, his young son. Thought of Yoko. Thought of the millions of kids who look to him for guidance, for truth. What do you need me to do? Morrison pulled out a small device. Looked like a cigarette lighter. This is a micro recorder. You wear it when you're at meetings, rallies, anywhere you think Chen or others like him might show up. You record. You pass the tapes to me. We analyze. We identify the provocateurs. And then, we remove them. Quietly. No arrests. No publicity. They just disappear from the scene. John took the device, felt its weight in his palm. One condition, John said. No one innocent gets hurt. You promise me that. Morrison nodded. You have my word. A lie. They both knew it, but necessary. When do I start? You already have, Morrison said. Chen will reach out again. He's interested in you now. He'll want to bring you deeper into his network. Let him. John pocketed the recorder. I need a drink. Not tonight. Tonight you go home to Yoko. You act normal. You say nothing about this conversation. To anyone. Ever. Morrison started the car. One more thing, John said. Why me? Why not use one of your own agents? Morrison smiled. Sad. Knowing. Because you're John Lennon. You wrote Imagine. People believe in you. People trust you. That's worth more than 1,000 trained agents. They drove back to the Dakota in silence. When John got out, Morrison said, Welcome to the ghost world, Mr. Lennon. There's no going back now. 3 weeks passed. John wore the recorder to every meeting, every gathering, every late-night strategy session, in cramped apartments that smelled of incense and revolution. He recorded, he documented, he betrayed. David Chen reached out again. Just like Morrison predicted, they met at a diner in the Lower East Side. Booth in the back. Coffee and pie. I've been thinking about our conversation, Chen said. About real change, not just marches and songs. John's recorder was in his jacket pocket, running. What kind of change? John asked carefully. Chen leaned closer. The establishment doesn't listen to peaceful protest. You know that. They only understand force. Violence, John said flatly. Liberation, Chen corrected. There's a group, very committed, very serious. They're planning actions, big actions, things that will actually make a difference. What kind of actions? Chen studied him. First, I need to know you're serious, that you're ready to move beyond singing songs about peace. John felt the weight of the recorder, the weight of the lie. I'm listening, John said. Over the next hour, Chen laid it out. A plan to bomb a federal building in Lower Manhattan. Not to kill anyone, he claimed, but to make a statement, to show that the anti-war movement had teeth. When? John asked, his stomach churning. 3 weeks, March 15th, and we want you involved, not in the action itself, but as a voice. After it happens, we need someone people respect to explain why it was necessary. John nodded, playing along, dying inside. I need time to think, John said. You have 48 hours, Chen replied. After that, we move forward without you. John passed the tape to Morrison that night. A dead drop in Central Park. An envelope left under a bench. Spy games. Real ones. 2 days later, Morrison called from a payphone. We have a problem, Morrison said. Chen's not working alone. We've identified at least 5 others. And the bomb plot? It's real. They have materials, location, everything. So stop them, John said. Arrest them. It's not that simple. If we arrest them now, we expose you as the source. Chen will know. And there are others in his network we haven't identified yet. They'll scatter, regroup, try again. So what do you want from me? We need you to agree to help them, get deeper inside, find out who else is involved, then we shut down the whole operation at once. John felt rage building. You're asking me to let a bomb plot move forward? We'll stop it before anything happens, I promise you that. But we need names, all of them. And if something goes wrong? If someone gets hurt? Silence on the line. Morrison? That's a risk we have to take. John hung up, smashed the phone against the booth's glass. Again until it shattered. He walked home through the dark park, alone, exposed. When he reached the Dakota, Yoko was waiting. You've been different, she said. Distant. What's happening, John? He wanted to tell her, needed to tell her. But Morrison's warning echoed. Tell no one, ever. I'm just tired, John lied. The case, the pressure, it's getting to me. Yoko touched his face. Don't lose yourself in this fight, John. Don't become what you're fighting against. Too late, John thought. I already have. The next morning, John called Chen. I'm in, John said. Whatever you need. Chen's voice carried satisfaction. I knew you'd understand. Welcome to the real revolution, John. That night, John recorded everything in his journal. Names, dates, details. Insurance in case Morrison betrayed him. In case this all went wrong. He hid the journal in the Dakota's walls, behind loose paneling in their bedroom. If he died, at least the truth would survive. March 15th was 2 weeks away. 14 days to live with the weight of betrayal. 14 days to play a role that was eating him alive. On day 7, something happened that John never saw coming. Marcus Webb's sister found him. Her name was Angela Webb, 28, lawyer. Her brother's death had destroyed her. She knocked on the Dakota's door at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. John answered. Mr. Lennon, she said, her voice steady, but her eyes wet. I need 5 minutes of your time. It's about Marcus. John let her in. What else could he do? They sat in the living room. Yoko was at a gallery opening. They were alone. Marcus mentioned your name before he died, Angela said. He said you were one of the good ones, someone trying to make real change. John's throat tightened. Your brother was brilliant. I'm sorry for your loss. They killed him, Angela said plainly. The police. The FBI. Someone. It wasn't an overdose. Marcus never used drugs. But they needed him quiet. John said nothing. Couldn't. I've been investigating, Angela continued. Following leads. Talking to people Marcus knew. And I keep finding the same thing. People disappearing. Activists vanishing. Plans falling apart. Like someone's on the inside, reporting. She looked at John directly. Someone people trust. John's blood ran cold. What are you saying? He asked carefully. I'm saying there's an informant in the movement. Someone feeding information to the FBI. And I think that person might have gotten Marcus killed. John stood, walked to the window. His reflection stared back, ghost-like. Why are you telling me this? Because I think you might know who it is, Angela said. You're connected. You're trusted. If there's an informant, you'd have noticed something off. Someone asking too many questions. Someone always there but never quite involved. John thought of David Chen, but Chen was the provocateur, not the informant. Unless... Have you gone to the police? John asked. The police are part of the problem, Angela said bitterly. I need proof. Real proof. Something I can take to the media. Something that can't be buried. She stood, handed John a card, her number. If you hear anything, if you see anything, please help me find who killed my brother. After she left, John sat in silence for an hour. Morrison had lied. He'd said Marcus figured out the provocateurs and was going to expose them. But what if Marcus had figured out something else? What if he'd identified the FBI's informants within the movement? What if Marcus had been killed not by provocateurs, but by the FBI itself? John called Morrison. Emergency number. They met in a parking garage. Concrete and shadows. Did you kill Marcus Webb? John demanded. Morrison's face betrayed nothing. No. But the FBI did, didn't they? Marcus Webb was reckless. He was going to expose an ongoing operation. He would have gotten people killed, including himself. So you made that happen faster, John said. I didn't kill anyone, Morrison repeated. But I won't mourn him either. This is a war, John. People die in wars. John felt something break inside him. Some final thread connecting him to the person he used to be. The bomb plot, John said. It's fake, isn't it? Chen. The whole thing, it's a setup. An excuse to crack down on the movement. Morrison smiled. Cold. Professional. The bomb is real. The materials are real. The threat is real. But you're right. We've known about it from the beginning. We let it develop. Because when we stop it, we get to be heroes, and the anti-war movement gets painted as dangerous radicals. And I'm your proof, John realized. Your inside witness. The famous musician who can testify that the peace movement has been infiltrated by violent extremists. You're finally understanding how this works. John wanted to hit him, to scream, to run, but he was trapped completely. What if I go public? John asked. What if I tell everyone what you're doing? ... Then you go to prison for conspiracy to commit terrorism, Morrison said calmly. Your voice on those tapes? That's you agreeing to help with the bombing. That's you discussing targets. Without context, you're an accomplice. You recorded me. Of course we did. Insurance. Just like you're keeping insurance, I'd imagine. Smart man like you. They stared at each other. Two men trapped in the same machine. Both grinding each other to dust. March 15th. Morrison said. Be at the meeting place Chen gave you. We'll make the arrests. You'll be clear. Your deportation case will disappear. You'll get your green card, and this will all be over. Will it? John asked. Will it ever really be over? Morrison walked away, footsteps echoing in the empty garage. John stood alone. He thought about Angela Webb, about her brother, about all the bodies buried under this war. The visible ones and the invisible ones. He thought about the person he used to be, the Liverpool kid who just wanted to make music and maybe change the world a little bit. That person was gone. Maybe forever. March 15th, 1973. John arrived at the abandoned warehouse in Brooklyn at 7 p.m. Chen was there. 3 others John had met before, and 2 new faces. "Tonight we make history," Chen said. They laid out the plan. The bomb was in a van. They would drive it to Federal Plaza, park it, set the timer, walk away. No one would be hurt. The building would be empty. "After tonight," Chen said, looking at John, "you'll speak to the media. You'll explain why this was necessary, why America needs to wake up." John nodded, saying nothing. The wire Morrison had given him was taped to his chest, recording everything. At 8:47 p.m., FBI agents stormed the warehouse, guns drawn, shouting, chaos. Chen and his people scattered. 3 were caught immediately. Chen escaped through a back window, vanished into the Brooklyn night. John was tackled, handcuffed, thrown into a van. "For show," Morrison whispered as they dragged him out. "Just play along." They took him to Federal Plaza, interrogation room. 4 hours of theater. At 2 a.m., they released him. No charges, no record. Like it never happened. Morrison drove him home. "Your deportation case will be dismissed next week," Morrison said. "Green card arrives in 30 days. You're welcome." John stared out the window, said nothing. "You did good work, John. You helped stop something terrible. You should feel proud." "Proud," John repeated, hollow. "You can go back to your music now. Your life, your family. This is over." But it wasn't over. It would never be over. John Lennon received his green card on July 27, 1976. 4 years after that midnight meeting. 4 years of legal battles and hearings and appeals. He never spoke about the FBI. Never told Yoko the full truth. Never told anyone. David Chen was never found. Morrison claimed he fled to Canada. But John sometimes wondered if Chen had ever existed at all, if he was just another ghost in the machine. Angela Webb continued her investigation until 1975. Then she stopped. Abruptly. Completely. John tried to contact her once. The number was disconnected. Morrison retired from the FBI in 1979. Died of a heart attack in 1982. Natural causes, they said. The tapes John made were supposedly destroyed. But were they? John kept his journal hidden in the Dakota's walls. He never looked at it again. Couldn't bear to. He wrote songs, made albums, raised his son, lived his life. But something had changed. Some light had gone out. People noticed. Critics called his later work darker, more introspective, less hopeful. In December 1980, John was murdered outside the Dakota. Mark David Chapman, lone gunman. Open and shut case. But in the weeks before his death, John had been acting strangely, paranoid. He told friends he felt watched, followed. He mentioned to a journalist, off the record, that he had a story to tell. Something important. Something about his time in the 1970s. Something people needed to know. He never got the chance. The journal was found during renovations of the Dakota in 1987, behind the paneling, just where John had hidden it. But when the pages were examined, they were blank. Every single page, whatever John had written, had been carefully, professionally erased, like it never existed. Some say the FBI found it first, cleaned it, replaced it. Some say John erased it himself, too afraid of what it revealed. Some say there was never anything written there at all. But those who knew John in those years remember something else. They remember a change, a sadness, a weight he carried until the day he died. The weight of a secret that could never be told. The weight of compromises made in the name of survival. The weight of being a ghost while still alive. Working class hero, John sang. Something you're trying to be. But what happens when the hero becomes the thing he's fighting against? What happens when the rebel works for the machine? What happens when the truth-teller must live a lie? John Lennon knew, and it destroyed him. Not all at once, Not dramatically, but slowly, quietly, like all the best betrayals. On December 8th, 1980, outside the Dakota Building, John Lennon died with secrets locked inside him. Maybe Chapman pulled the trigger, maybe, but the man who died that night had been dying for years, killed by the ghost he'd become, by the choices he'd made, by the midnight meeting that changed everything. The FBI files on John Lennon remain partially classified. Reasons of national security, they say. But what national security is worth more than the truth? And what truth could be so dangerous that it must remain buried after all these years? Unless the truth itself is the weapon, and John Lennon knew it. The question isn't whether John Lennon met with the FBI. The question is, what did they ask him to do, and did he do it? The files remain sealed, the witnesses are dead, the tapes are destroyed. But somewhere, in the spaces between official history and forgotten memory, the truth waits. Still dangerous, still hidden, still watching. Just like they watched John, until the very end.